I'm Ripon Channel TV personality Jason Smith, and this is Dickens of a Christmas. We're here with the mayor in the American House. Are you ready to answer some questions?
Fire away.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
Oh, geez, at least a dozen. That I can remember, at least a dozen times.
Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
He was a great author, and I think 'twas the best of times, 'twas the worst of times. And he was in Victorian England, and you couldn't interview him today because he's dead.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
It's enchanted. There may be a few broken ornaments, but yes, it's still enchanted, and it will be even more so when they pick the tree back up.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
My favorite part of Dickens is now taking my kids around and having them look at the living windows, and the smile and the look on their face when we travel around downtown. Hold on a second, well, I was going to say one of them might have been on TV, but she was a little shy there. And the other thing is when the weather's nice.
Certainly. Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim by a low blow.
And how many years has Dickens of a Christmas been happening in Ripon?
I think this is the 19th. Am I right? Am I right?
I'm not sure either. Hello all. How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
Like every year.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
For like 5 years.
Well, this is my first year.
First year? How are you enjoying it?
I like it so far.
Great. Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
What's that? This right here? This?
It's the guy who inspired all this. Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
He wrote Christmas Carol.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
This is our first time we're visiting here.
Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
Go ahead, Steve. You're the Dickens.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, he's the father of Oliver Twist and Tale of Two Cities, and lived in the Victorian times in England, and that's what we try to replicate here in Ripon.
The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, oh, I hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, on the way home we'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yes.
Still enchanted.
Absolutely.
Still enchanted.
Yes.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yes, absolutely. I know that for a fact.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
The free stuff.
Free hot chocolate.
Yeah, free hot chocolate.
Apple cider.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yes, it is.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yeah, I would say so.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
Well, since I was a kid.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and no one hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
No.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
This was my first time.
Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
I don't know him.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
The living windows.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim.
How many years has Dickens of a Christmas been happening in Ripon?
19.
Very good, thanks a lot. Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
Well, actually, to be true, I don't really know that much about him. Sorry.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
I hope so.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
Dickens? What's that?
This whole setup here. Everything around here.
I've been here about 3 years.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
Every year. 3 years. 3.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
If Dickens of what?
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
Oh, I think it's the living windows.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
thus far it's been the living windows.
Yeah, that's fun.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
The cider.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim.
Dickens of a Christmas.
I don't know what is the word, Dickens of the Christmas.
How many times have you been to Dickens of a Christmas?
5.
Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yes.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Me.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
The food.
Well, the favorite part of the Dickens here is the living windows, and there's lots of kids involved and stuff like that.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
I think Tiny Tim, because I think he's stronger than he looks and all that kind of thing.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Probably Scrooge.
Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
Don't know him.
We don't know who it is.
We don't know who he is.
Well, I think he's Santa Claus, but I don't know.
Tell us a little bit about Charles Dickens.
Go ahead, Steve. You're the Dickens.
Go ahead, Lynn.
What's your favorite part of Dickens?
Down here, you mean? I think the windows are. I like looking at the windows.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, Tiny.
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Don't know.
He wrote a book. Is that who this is after?
If a tree falls in the enchanted forest and nobody hears it, is the forest still enchanted?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is because no one will know.
It falls.
Yes, it is.
No one will know.
There's a lot of other trees though.
Who would win in a fight, Scrooge or Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim.
What's your favorite part of this?
Part of this is a favor for all young kids. Then they got a nice and acting like old-fashioned, old traditions. And it's a very happy-ful, like a happy-ful. Happy, I'm happy. People acting and how it used to be old-fashioned and very happy.